They are trying to rob the Los Angeles Lakers as a brand new report has dropped, revealing some wild information as it pertains to Jaxson Hayes and his future in LA. We're going to break down those reports and discuss what it means going forward as this changes everything for the outlook of the Lakers. So stay tuned for that on this episode. But before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. About 90% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed to the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to help us towards our goal, our big goal of 20,000 subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot to go over today. Now, obviously, we know Lakers are in tough for their schedule of the next few games. And of course, you have LeBron James nearing a return, Hachimura nearing a return. But what matters right now for this video is a new report that has dropped surrounding Jaxson Hayes and his future in LA. And let's dive right into it here now. We know how good Jaxson Hayes has been. We're going to dive into a bunch of different stats here. I want to start with this before we dive into the report. Redick. I think everyone has a role, and everyone is valued. Given the Lakers' recent string of injuries, he noted that Luka and Austin have stepped up when needed. Now, keep this in mind about the part how everyone has a role and everyone is valued, because a brand new report dropped yesterday night. Jaxson Hayes will have suitors that will try to poach him from the Lakers in free agency. And it's kind of a crazy world. If you watched the game last night against the Phoenix Suns, one of the most important players, and arguably the most important player alongside Luka right now, beside Austin Reaves, of course, with LeBron being out, is Jaxson Hayes. Luka plays much better when Jaxson Hayes is on the floor. He plays much better when he has a pick-and-roll partner, even dating back to the game before last when Jaxson Hayes was still out and they had Christian Koloko sub in instead of Alex Len. Immediately, a lob dunk, right? And this report is interesting. In 9 games with LA, following the All-Star break, he's averaging 9.6 rebounds, 1.2 block shots a game, shooting 74% from the field. However, Hayes will hit unrestricted free agency after this season, and according to The Athletic's Jovan Buha, the 24-year-old have his fair share of suitors this summer who will attempt to poach him from the Lakers. So this is interesting. We're going to dive into the exact quote in a minute here, but just for a second, we're in a world now where I never thought I'd be here at the start of the season, where Jaxson Hayes is not only one of the most crucial players this season for Los Angeles, and is going to be crucial heading into the playoffs as well, because they don't have another center that does what Luka needs, right? They try to get Mark Williams. Of course, the trade was rescinded. We've played that fiddle a million times. However, other teams now kind of lost in this is the fact that other teams are trying to rob the Lakers out of Jaxson Hayes and are trying to take him in free agency. And it's an interesting thing because Luka is the best in the league, or one of the best alongside LeBron, at making the centers look really good. If Jaxson Hayes goes to another team, will he be as good as he is here? Maybe, but I would probably argue against it. Jovan Buha goes on to say, I believe the Lakers have his bird rights, but I still think there's a limitation to how much they could pay him. They could use that taxpayer MLE on him, but I can see him potentially being a casualty just because of the circumstance, like we saw with Malik Monk, where the Lakers got priced out based on their financial limitations. And this one now starts to become a little bit interesting, because we know how good Jaxson Hayes is and how good Jaxson Hayes can be alongside Luka Doncic, right? Especially this season. He plays good defense. He is good in pick and roll on offense, and he's a pretty good, he's ideally the perfect backup center for Luka Doncic if you have an actual center at the 5, right? Whether that be Nick Claxton, whether that be somebody else. However, if other teams now are getting involved, the question then becomes, how much are the Lakers willing to pay him? And there's been some quotes about him, and you can see a lot of different fans, reporters, writers, everyone is speaking out about Jaxson Hayes, because you can see this here, Jaxson Hayes has become an invaluable piece to this Lakers team. Says a lot about the state of their center depth, but also a credit to him for making big strides this season. And it's something that's not talked about enough. Like, this guy has made big strides. And you think about the trade deadline, I was on record saying I don't think he's a starting caliber center. He's probably a backup center on an okay playoff team. I think this team now, the Lakers, can make a deep run in the playoffs and even, try to win it all. Of course, most of that's because of Luka Doncic, but given their center depth now with Jaxson Hayes at the starting center position, I just think it's something that can happen. You can see this here. Luka joined the Lakers and turned Jaxson Hayes into an all-star caliber center, which is pretty funny in itself. And let's dive into Jaxson Hayes' stats a little bit here. This season, 6 points a game, 5 rebounds, and again, 1 block. Since his return, or since the All-Star break, and essentially since Luka joined the team, his stats have gone up a lot. Of course, he's starting almost every game now, giving a little bit of a reminiscent a little bit to his season in 2021 when he was a 21-year-old and he was putting up 10 points a game. That was his quote-unquote breakout year, and then he fell off a little bit since then. But man, oh man, is seeing Jaxson Hayes play as well as he is. And he's also been shooting the ball okay from the free throw line, 70%. Struggled in yesterday's game against the Suns. But you start to look at all these things. You look at the second quote here. So if a team threw the non-taxpayer at Jaxson after the way he's played this season, I would not be shocked if that happened. And I think he would have to obviously return from this injury, continue to play well, be healthy the rest of the way, and maybe the Lakers go on a run to the conference semis, conference finals. And if he's a big part of that, I think there will be suitors who look at the pedigree of being a former lottery pick, look at the age, look at the skill set, look at the improvement, and try to poach him from the Lakers. And I think it's a very real possibility simply because we've seen this before. Players, whether younger or older, whatever, you sign a veteran minimum, league minimum with a new team, and you're put in a good position. You're trying to win. In this case, Luka Doncic, the best position Jaxson Hayes or any center could ask for. You play really well. Let's say they make a deep playoff run, they lose in the conference semifinals, right? I think they're going to go farther, but let's just say for sake of argument, they lose in the conference semifinals. Teams are going to be like, wow, he played really well in the playoffs. He had a very solid regular season. We could use him on our team. We saw it with Bismack Biyombo and the Raptors against the Cavaliers. And 2016, I believe it was, 2017, whatever it was. And then Bismack got signed to a big contract. It ended up being a pretty bad contract. I don't think the Lakers will overpay for Jaxson Hayes. If another team comes out and offers him a hefty contract similar to Biz, they just aren't going to accept it, right? Or Lakers aren't going to match it. It's just not going to happen, especially because they're going to try to trade or sign, but probably trade for a starting caliber center in this offseason, depending on how the rest of this season goes. But to see reports already about how other teams are trying to poach him from the Lakers, we know, like I started the video off with, everyone has a role and everyone is valued. That's a pretty, everyone does have a role in this team right now. And you look at the depth chart, Rui Hachimura has a role. LeBron James has a role. They've been out for a week now. Jared Vanderbilt, he can't really score the ball. He can't really shoot the ball, but he has fantastic defensive instincts. He's a great point of attack defender, on-ball defender. Same with Jordan Goodwin, who JJ Redick went out of his way to compliment in yesterday's game, even though he had 2 points, 4 fouls, whatever it was, as a positive impact on the team. And Luka also speaks about how nice it was to get Jaxson Hayes back. He said, you could see the difference for me. It helps me a lot, but he helps the whole team. We missed him for sure. It is a direct correlation here. Luka Doncic plays a lot better when he has a center he can pick and roll with. We saw it in Dallas. We've seen it now with the Lakers. When you have an immobile center like a guy like Alex Len, I don't know why they signed him in the first place. I mean, I think their idea was to get just a big man to throw out there and against the big bodies, but you're better off running a good scheme that JJ Redick has surrounding Rui Hachimura guarding Nikola Jokic, for example. And Luka Doncic gets the best out of these guys, and that's why it's so impressive to see the improvement of Jaxson Hayes. But I want to give Jaxson Hayes his credit too, because it's not just Luka Doncic, right? Obviously, Jaxson Hayes, we know he studied a ton of film with Luka Doncic. They went to dinner together. They became close friends in the basketball world, and have become close friends since the Luka trade. And now it's paying dividends for him. He wants to get paid. He's a pending UFA, and it's all going to come full circle here. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. A bit of a scary report, but obviously the focus right now is on the Lakers winning the championship this year. I think they're positioned to do so, but it's going to be interesting to see, especially as the offseason, with the many questions that are going to arise surrounding their starting center, surrounding who they trade for, Nick Claxton, whoever it ends up being. Let me know down below. One final stat before we wrap up. The Lakers are now 37-2 when leading after 3 quarters this season. That's ranked 3rd in the league behind Cleveland and Oklahoma City. Just want to throw this out there, an unbelievable stat. They're good at closing games, and that's the JJ Redick effect. JJ Redick keeps them defensively sound, keeps everybody going, and also helps having LeBron James, a very good closer in the regular season. But that'll wrap it up. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.